What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, Friday edition, NBA Talk with Jay. We got our prop guy here with us, man, Stephen Keech. We're trying to get some cash every single day, man. Y'all know him from the Action Network. My guy absolutely smashes it with the props in this one. There's not a ton for me to like today, so I'm going to be leaning on my guy, Keech. Probably ride with him on some plays today. But forget all that. Keech, how you doing, my brother? Everything cool with you?
Everything's good, man. It's a beautiful Friday here in Nashville. Weather's kind of starting to turn. It feels nice outside. So yeah, life's good.
Yeah, man. Over here, it's been snowing for a couple of days, so it's like 2 feet of snow outside in Colorado where I'm at, my guy. But regards to that, we here, we breathing, man. We can't really complain. Shout out to RJ Barrett and his family as well, man. He's gonna be out for personal reasons for a little while. He lost a family member over there, man. So shout out to him. I know how that feels, my guy. So shout out to him. Prayers up for our guy RJ Barrett and the whole Barrett family. And let's be glad that we're still here breathing, my guys. We can't complain for nothing. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot of people that would love to be in our position in this one. But let's get straight to it today, man. It's Friday. It's trying to get some cash today. First game up. Let's go over here to the streets of Charlotte in this one. Hornets getting 10 points at the house versus the Phoenix Suns in this one. Obviously, Suns on the back-to-back. They're coming off a game where they lost by, like 15, 17 to the Boston Celtics yesterday. Played a good first half. Then the Celtics came out there and smacked them in the third quarter. Didn't look back. Now they're going up against a Hornets team that's coming off of a win. Y'all know how I feel about tanking teams coming off a win. I do not want to look their way. I know that they're at the house, they're getting 10 points, but I'm not looking towards these tanking teams that's coming off a win. There's not a ton of motivation to win. Could they be scrappy here? It's very possible here, Keech, but I'm only looking towards the Suns in this game. How you feel about this game? Any props that you like in here?
I do think the Hornets are probably like to be scrappy here. I think I would prefer that side if I had to bet this game from a side perspective. The Hornets are just like, they're such a fascinating team to me right now. They're still giving up a ton of 3-point attempts, but they're giving up a lot of open 3-point attempts, and their opponents are not making them. So they have allowed the second lowest opponent 3-point percentage on wide open looks with just like 6 or more feet of space, 35.7%. That's very low for a shot like that. The fourth most offensive rebounds allowed. They're getting killed on the glass. But the shooting stuff with them is really weird. They're giving up a ton of threes. Opponents are like just getting extremely unlucky on those attempts. So if Gordon's out again, the Suns are like running a very thin rotation. It's pretty much just like heavy starters, some Royce O'Neal, some Eubanks, some Bol. Not much beyond that. So if we get like 36 minutes from Grayson Allen, I would kind of be interested in him from a 3-point perspective. More so maybe an alt over than just like the straight prop. But yeah, the Hornets shot profile in terms of what they're allowing is just very strange. I do think this will be a tough spot for them, just against Phoenix, even on a back-to-back. They are kind of thin right now, the Hornets. Like their bench is basically Grant Williams. They've been running Poku a little bit. They acquired a guy they acquired from the Thunder. So it's just and Davis Bertans, that's like their bench at this point. So if we're gonna get like a lot of Trey Mann and Micic like we kind of have, Mann's scoring has been down, but I think his points over is something I'd be interested in here. So nothing official in this one for me, but the Grayson Allen threes and the Trey Mann points over potentially is something I'm keeping an eye on.
Yeah, it's a good look. Yeah, Grayson Allen has been a freaking sniper from three, man. My guy been sniping out there. You know what I would lean here? So the Suns have owned these guys. They've won 6 straight matchups versus the Hornets. They've won 8 of the last 9 as well, and covered 4 of the last 5 as well. They've absolutely owned the Hornets. And this is a spot that I would look at in this game. If I was betting this game, I'd take a look at Suns in the first quarter. They're coming off a loss in this one. It's not third game. It's a back-to-back, but it's not third game in 4 nights because they had 2 days off before the Boston Celtics game. I'd lean towards Suns in the first quarter here. It does fit the system with the Suns coming in off a loss, the Hornets coming off a win, and this is their 11th straight game in a new arena. The Hornets have been traveling all over the place. They hadn't played back-to-back home games. They're coming off 2 straight road games as well, so they're not really they're not really comfortable in any gym right now, man. They were in Portland, Milwaukee, one game back at the house. Then they went to Philly, Toronto, one game back at home. Then they went to Washington, one game back at the house, then 2 games on the road. So when you're traveling all over the place like that, it's really hard to get comfortable. As far as like, it's a lot different when you're playing like 4 or 5 straight home games. You know exactly what gym you're playing in, the sight lines, all that good stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Hornets struggled here out of the gate. I'd lean towards Suns here in the first quarter to get off to a good start in this game. Obviously, they're going up against a weak opponent as well. Suns can't afford to come out BSing around in these type of games. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw one of the guys pop up on the injury report for the Suns in this one, because they know that they could probably rest a guy and still win this game. But I'd still lean their way in the first quarter to come out smoking hot in this game, and they might just not look back from that. The Hornets can be a scrappy team. They are getting 10 points at the house here, but like I say, it's just a team that's not really, they will play scrappy in these type of games, but they're not super motivated to win this game. And so in saying that, it could get ugly real quick, man. So I'm not messing around with the Hornets in this one. I'd lean Suns first quarter. That would probably be my top spot in this game, my guys. And my guy Keech saying it's not a bad look there. We're looking at some Grayson Allen threes as well. We know Bertans, he's gonna let them fly. Who else they got? Brandon Miller, he's gonna let them shits fly as well. They're gonna be. It's probably a game where the Hornets is gonna shoot up a ton of threes, and then if they make them, cool. If they miss them, they might get blown out by 25 points, man. So this is definitely a good game to look at for some 3-point props in this one. Let's go over here to the street to Detroit in this one, Keech. You got the Pistons getting 8 points at the house versus the Miami Heat. This line opened up at 6. Man, these favors are starting to get steamed, Keech, overnight, man. If there's a favor that you like, you probably want to take this shit the night before, because every single one of them are starting to get favored here. Heat opened up at 6, 6.5, went to -8 in this one. They've lost 4 straight games. They're in somewhat of a must-win spot. Pistons have been playing well. They've definitely been playing well at the house, but my only problem is they're coming off back-to-back wins in 3 of the last 4 as well. Now, this is their 5th straight home game. These are spots where teams could possibly come out early in the first quarter because they're comfortable and they're in that same gym. But I know that the Heat are going to come out here probably pissed the fuck off here, Keech. What are you looking at in this game? Who do you think does well as far as a prop perspective here?
It's kind of a tough one to figure out at the moment. So Cade Cunningham is questionable. That obviously is a humongous. Yeah,
I didn't see that.
I didn't. So when I did this projection for them last night, I don't think he was questionable because when I checked before he came on, I realized that he had a Q tag. I'm not sure if he picked that up this morning while I was sleeping. But Quentin Grimes is another one who's going to be out. Obviously a lot less impactful than Cunningham, but it's kind of tough to figure them out at the moment without any clarity on that. The one thing against the Heat that I think a lot of other people like to target is guys who shoot corner threes against them. That's kind of the one shot that they're particularly vulnerable to in terms of allowing attempts. Simone Fontecchio is a good profile guy for that.
He's out. Tecchio is out.
Fontecchio is out?
Yeah. So I did see that last night. I just got to make sure because let me see. I didn't see the Cade Cunningham.
I think you're confusing that with All-Star.
Huh? Was what I saw last night was that Fontecchio and Arzar Thompson are out from the beat writer. That's what I saw. I could be wrong. Check it for me on your place because you might have different places. And sometimes motherfuckers go from out to playing and shit, man. I could have swore I saw Jaylen Brown out yesterday, but he ended up playing. But if I'm not mistaken, I saw that Fontecchio is out. And that made me think like, all right, the Pistons are obviously like trying to lose this game. Can you check that for me? I'm pretty sure I saw that.
Fontecchio is still in. Yeah, he's not on the injury report, and we haven't projected in.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think I missed anything there. But also Thompson and Quentin Grimes are both out. So just like assuming they do have Cade and Fontecchio, they're still pretty thin. Their bench would be like Sasser, James Wiseman, Stanley Umud. It gets ugly pretty quick there. Evan Fournier probably finds his way back into the rotation to take more or less that grind role. But they're thin. Like if they're going to run Ivy for 34, 35 minutes, they're going to play Fontecchio 34, 35 minutes. Those guys obviously have some upside, but again, with targeting the Heat, the guys who shoot corner threes are generally the way I like to go. They allow the 5th most attempts from the corner. So Fontecchio probably a guy I would like to look at there. Miami side is kind of a weird one. Just that they're like they've had this group now for a few games, so I think the props have kind of caught up. There really wasn't anything that was popping off the page for me there, but yeah, the Detroit side, I do think they could run a pretty thin rotation. if the game stays competitive. The one guy on the bench that I would be kind of interested in from a prop perspective is Marcus Sasser. So I'll be kind of keeping an eye on his points prop when that drops. And James Wiseman, honestly, in a really weird way, he's been pretty much eating up all the time behind Duren right now, which can be like anywhere between like 15 and 18 minutes a night. So he's been rebounding pretty well. So he's another guy I'm kind of curious to see when props drop where he's at.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro, because them bench players, they don't bring them props out until like 5 minutes before the game even start, man. It's crazy that they be playing with those bench players like that. But yeah, you need to see what's up with Cade. If you're even trying to sniff taking the Pistons here, you definitely need to see what's up with Cade Cunningham. And just my thought on it, like with the team that's got the second worst record in the league now, which they can afford to win some games, but they know they're probably about to get railroaded in this one. A tanking team coming off back-to-back wins is not a spot that you'd like to take, in my opinion. It's different when they've lost 5 or 6. They're motivated to get a win, but with coming off back-to-back wins, like I just find a hard time seeing these teams trying to really go out here for a win. Now, Money Williams did say that they're going to be going for wins in the second half of the season, but they know at some point it's like, all right, we don't want to win too much. We want to be competitive. We want to build for next year, but we're still not trying to screw. I mean, we've did all this tanking for this long. There's no point in trying to mess up our draft order now. You see what I'm saying? That's just keeping it real right there, man. So not surprising at all to see Cade Cunningham pop up on our injury report in this one. The Heat obviously need a win. They're sitting in the play-in tournament right now. We know that they were absolutely rolling for a little while, had won like 8 of 10. Now they've dropped 4 straight games. I'd be very surprised if the Heat didn't come out here pissed off, really, whether Cade Cunningham plays or not. I'd heavily lean towards the Heat in this game, and possibly looking at Jimmy Butler as well. Obviously, he's going to be the head of the train in this one to make sure that they do not lose this must-win game. So look at Jimmy Butler in this one, possibly even like a double-double. Keech, what do you possibly think about that? Like Jimmy Butler going for a double-double. I know he doesn't get a ton of rebounds, but this could be a game where he just kind of takes over. Like, all right, I'm not fucking around, man. Let's stop BSing around. I know Bam has kind of slowed down a little bit as well. I could see Jimmy Butler going for like a 20 and 10 in this type of game. What do you like? Because we expect the Heat to do well here. They're not going to be bullshitting around. They're not tanking. They got all the motivation in the world. So I'd like to look at some Heat props in this one. If there was one guy you had to target here, what do you think in this way?
I think Butler from a points perspective would be kind of interesting. I think, like, especially with where they're at right now, assists I think is kind of a tough place for him to get to 10, and rebounds is probably a little tough as well. I don't know what the numbers are on his double-double. I assume if you build that out manually, if you kind of take a stand on whether it's assists or rebounds, you could probably get an even bigger number. But yeah, no real feel on that. I think if I was going to play a Butler thing, it'd be the points, though. In terms of that.
That's a good look. Yeah, he might go for 30 tonight, man. I look towards Jimmy Butler as well, my guys. Let's go over here to the next game. Let's go over to the streets of Toronto in this one. Raptors getting 8 points at the house versus Orlando Magic in this one. You got to look on this one. I think Joe Lillard was on Banchero over his points. What do you think about that look in this game?
I don't mind it at all. I think Toronto's defense, especially, is not up to par right now. They're just a weird group. Kind of like just mismatch, like they're just kind of throwing shit together and see what works. And it's not much. They've been on a pretty obvious downswing. They just don't really have a good cohesive group right now to defend or really score. Gary Trent is questionable on the Toronto side, so he's kind of would take, I would assume, a pretty high number of shot attempts if he is on the floor. The one thing, if he does sit, I think Kelly Olynyk under rebounds, if it stays at this 6.5 number, I would like. Orlando is unbelievable at keeping teams off the glass. They've allowed by far the fewest defensive rebounds per game, and it's even dropped further over the last 15 games. They're just really good at suppressing opponents' stats, whether it's rebounds, assists. They're very tough. So Olynyk's had trouble rebounding even as a starting center here with like around 30 minutes of playing time, but then trying to pretty much hit a ceiling, and not 7 rebounds is a ceiling for him, but relative to where he's been recently, he hasn't been at that mark. So I think in this spot, if we don't get Gary Trent, who is a very bad rebounder, and we get kind of more Bruce Brown, more Grady Dick, who are better rebounders out there on the floor with them, I think the Olynyk under 6.5 would be interesting. And Emmanuel Quickly is another one. I have thought about playing the under on his PRA, just given I don't like the scoring environment for the Raptors in general. I think the team total under, and then we were on this last time we recorded together. I think 104.5 is what the number is now. It's probably about right. But I think if I'm betting Toronto stuff, I'm kind of hoping that Trent is in and would be kind of leaning toward like quickly unders. But yeah, Trent is out. I think the thing I'll go to is Kelly Olynyk under 6.5 rebounds. If it stays at the -110, -115 range, it's in now.
Yeah, that's it, man. The Raptors are thin as hell right now, man. Like all their good players are basically injured right now. It's really unfortunate what's happening with Barrett as well, man. But like I say, I'll keep telling you guys, the Raptors have all the incentive to have one of the 6 worst records in the league. Right now, they're fighting with the Grizzlies to like 6 and 7, basically. So like any win, and I like to look at this 2 different ways, because they could come out here and ball. They know what happened with Barrett's family. They could try to come out and have like a spirited effort, but the Magic can be BSing around right now as well. But the Raptors team, it's just their season's just low-key just kind of going down the drain here. I mean, they're signing, anytime you see guys signing, teams signing 10-day contracts and playing these guys heavy minutes, like they're not trying to win. You see what I'm saying? So they got Grady Dick out there starting, my guys. They let you know everything you need to know right there, man. But yeah, Lennox, only thing that scares me, he's one of their only bigs out there. And he's going to play 30-plus minutes. That's the only problem. But, yeah, you nailed it. Obviously, the Magic are a really tall team. They got Franz Wagner. They got Wendell Carter Jr., Jonathan Isaac coming off the bench. They have a ton of size down low, man. And the Magic, they can't be affording to be playing around with these games as well, because they can mess around and end up in the play-in tournament. But the Magic have had a really great year. They already beat them in Orlando by 19 points. That's when the Raptors had all of their guys as well. Magic went out there and absolutely smacked them as well, man. They've lost 2 of their last 3 games, got a big win versus the Nets, but they can't be affording to be playing around here. So, and this is a home-and-home situation as well. They play in Toronto, and then the next game on Sunday, they play back in Orlando as well, man. So I'd lean towards the Magic in this one. This line was at 6.5 points last night. I'd still lean towards the Magic in this one, guys. The Raptors, just like I say, they're trying their best to have one of the 6 worst records in the league, because if they don't, it's crazy, because if they're number 7 worst record, they don't get their pick. So they obviously want a top 6 pick, and if they're in the top 6, they get to keep their pick. If they're out, then it goes to San Antonio, guys. I looked at it last night. Their pick would go to the San Antonio Spurs if it's out, if it's 7 or worse, guys. So Raptors have all the incentive in the world to lose. Look, they be tripping in the chat, Keech. So guys say Grady Dick will penetrate. Hey, man, it's funny as hell, man. But yeah, I would lean towards Banchero over his points. I mean, Kelly Olynyk's not stopping anybody down low, man. Franz Wagner could have a great game as well. You see what I'm saying? Wagner or Banchero drive to the paint every single play, man. They're healthy. They got Fultz. They got Suggs back. The Magic can do whatever the hell they want in this game, my guys. So yeah, definitely can't talk you off looking at Franz Wagner. Can't talk you off looking at the Magic. Can't talk you off looking at Franz Wagner or Banchero to get over their points total in this one, my guys. Let's get over here to the streets of New Orleans in this one, Keech. Pelicans laying 7 points at the house versus the LA Clippers in this one. Clippers are on a back-to-back, 3rd game in 4 nights, 4th game in 6 nights, 5th game in 7 nights here versus the Pelicans in this one, Keech. You can't be surprised if the Clippers start to rest some guys. But what do you think about the Pelicans in this one? You think that they're that great of a team, where they're going to take advantage of the Clippers? Like this line is high because of the spot that the Clippers are in, but it just, I don't know, man. I got a funny feeling about this guy. I usually take the 5th game in 7 night spot that fade every single time. The Pelicans have owned these guys. They've won 8 of the last 10 matchups. They've covered 8 of the last 10 matchups as well. If I had to bet it, I'd probably take the Pelicans here, but for some reason, I don't know. I just don't want to fade the Clippers here, like with this amount of points. Keech, what do you think about this game?
I get the concern for sure. I think like you could see even if the Clippers do rest some guys, you could see kind of the bench spot maybe show up and at least keep it somewhat competitive. On the Clippers side, just kind of need an injury report right now. Harden, I think they said last night, was uncertain to play.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't play last night. Like you had alluded to, I would not be surprised if we saw rest, whether it's Kawhi or Paul George. The number of games they played over the last week is a lot. They're on back-to-back. So would not be surprised by any rest. Don't feel like I can do anything on the Clippers side until we get that report. The one thing in Pelicans is they allow the 2nd most catch and shoot 3-point attempts allowed on the season. So if Harden's out there, I think the guy potentially passing to in the corner are in a good spot. The Pelicans do allow the lowest field goal percentage on those looks, which is kind of interesting. But they give up a ton of those attempts, and that's generally is the thing I'm kind of looking for when I'm betting prop overs is time. They give up a ton of threes as it is, second most attempts on the season. So I think if Harden's in, I think the 3-point shooters are in a pretty good spot. We did see Bones Highland kind of. I mean, he basically looked like James Harden last night.
He had a good game. Yeah, he had a real good game.
I was on some unders on him, and that I felt real dumb about that very early on. But yeah, he basically was the point guard. I wasn't really sure how they were going to distribute like the distributing when it came to like Bones, PG, Kawhi. But yeah, Bones pretty much just took that role and ran with it. So I think I wouldn't want to play many overs here on the Clippers side, but I think if I'm looking at that, it would be 3-point shooters. The one really weird thing to me with the Pelicans lately is the Jonas Valanciunas minutes. He's been like way down. I think he has played not more than 20 minutes in any of the last 4 games.
Damn.
They've been running some more Larry Nance. Yeah, it's been bad. Some Najee Marshall. He's been like playing more. It's like some Zion at the 5, Marshall at the 4. Those lineups have been okay. They did get that. It looked awful the other night. I think Najee was a minus like 28 minutes or something like that. It's bad, but that's an interesting one to me. I feel like his props are coming down. He's obviously a very good per minute producer. I think we might be getting to like the bottom of the market on him. So I am kind of interested against the Clippers team that is kind of slow. They have Zubac out there. It's kind of helpful to have somebody with size in the paint. His prop overs are something I'm kind of looking at, although doing it a little bit cautiously, just given the playing time. But I think we are maybe at the low point in the market on him. So I think it could be a good time to buy.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. This game feels so funky to me. And it's crazy. These two teams have had 2 games in LA, and the Pelicans won both games. And then the game in New Orleans, the Clippers have won. You see what I'm saying? So each road team has won outright. Now, obviously, the Clippers are in an absolute fatigue spot here. So if they did rest Kawhi, Paul George, like you can't be mad at them. But some tells me Harden probably rested last game to play in this one. The 5th game is 7. I can't take the Clippers here because teams, like if they ran out of gas here in the 4th quarter, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I have seen a couple of teams so far this year win outright as the 5th game at 7 nights underdog and on the road as well. We even saw the Warriors do it in Indiana. I can't remember the other spot, but I definitely remember the Pacers was facing up against the Warriors. 5th game at 7 nights. They got in late, all that shit, and they still won, my guys. So it's a tough game because the Pelicans, I know this team very well, and they can be really inconsistent, man. They can. I remember everybody was telling me that they was a lock versus the Cavs. They went out there and got smoked from the get-go. So that's just sometimes what the Pelicans can do, man. When they're going up against another great team, it's not so easy. I feel like that 7 is a little rich here, man. I do feel like the line should be somewhere around -3, and then I'd be all over the Pelicans in this game. But that 7 feels rich, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. It feels you're definitely paying a premium in this spot. It is a bounce back spot for the Pelicans coming off a bad loss at the house versus the Cavs. So if I was taking the Pelicans, I do think that first half could possibly be a good look because that's usually what they do. They'll bounce back when it's a back-to-back home game and they're coming off a loss. That's when they like to bounce back in the first half. But with it being the fatigue spot for the Clippers, that 4th quarter is the main spot where the Pelicans should really that's where they really have the main advantage over the Clippers because 5th game in 7 nights with travel and things like that, you really run out of gas. It's that 4th quarter is really hard. And we've seen the Clippers run out of gas as well versus the Milwaukee Bucks in the 4th quarter. I believe they had got outscored by like 17 points in the 4th quarter. So this could be a great live betting game. I do think the Clippers might go tiff and tat. It might be an even game here for a little while. You might be able to get a better number with the Pelicans. And like say if the Pelicans are down or something at the half or in the 3rd quarter, that 4th quarter is the main spot where they have the main advantage in this game, man. But it's just I know that the Clippers have been playing lackluster basketball, and they're somewhat pissed off as well, and want to get some big wins as well. I think that's the main thing that's scaring me off this one. So if you like the Pelicans, don't let me talk you off. It's definitely the spot, but I feel funny with this game. This is one I'll probably wait and make a live bet with, in my opinion, in this one, man. So and keep an eye on the injury report. They don't have to do their injury report. The Clippers don't until like another 30 minutes. So don't be surprised if some guys pop up in there when it's going to be a really great game. But what do you think of? So do you think we should look towards some Valanciunas owners since his minutes have been going down, or you think that that's been reflected with his props?
Yeah, I think if anything, I mean, I love betting unders, but I think if anything at this point, we're probably at the bottom of the market on him. Like it doesn't get any lower than him playing like 17, 18 minutes a night. That's probably like as low as it gets. So I think at this point, buying on the overs is smart. I love what you just said there, though, about the playing the Pelicans live. I think if we get like some sort of a normal group from the Clippers, which I kind of doubt we do, and they're able to hang around, like maybe be up at halftime, I think that's an amazing spot, would be to buy on them live if they're down at any point in the second half, especially in the third quarter. Like you said, I think the fourth quarter should be a great spot for the Pelicans. So I love that angle.
Yep, that's a fact. Yeah, I think this could be a great live betting game, man. Sometimes it's just like that, man. Especially with today's 3-point variance in today's NBA game. Sometimes you need to come out and watch the game and see who's playing well, and see how the game is going, see how they're shooting, see how the game is being called. It's getting, I always tell people, getting tougher and tougher to try to see what's going on, like as far as betting spreads on these games, guys. So it's starting to get tougher and tougher, man. To be perfectly honest with you, great live betting game. Let's go over to the streets of San Antonio in this one, Keech. Spurs getting 10.5 points at the house versus the Denver Nuggets in this one. Nuggets have been absolutely smashing everybody. I'd lean their way, laying the 10.5 on the road. The Spurs aren't a real basketball team. It's Wemby, and it's a bunch of bums out there, man. The Nuggets could do whatever the hell they want. And just picture Jokic backing down Wemby. My guy might throw him into the stands back there, man. I know. I know Wemby has the length or whatever, like his arms, but I mean Jokic could just like, but he might break one of Wemby's ribs or something, man, if he decides to back him down. Another great game to watch. I'd lean towards the Nuggets here in a Smack City spot here, Keech. What do you think about this game? Any good props for this one that you like?
I don't mind that at all. I was kind of hoping, thinking last night when I was preparing for this, that sell unders might be something I was interested in. I think Brooks did a pretty good job of suppressing him. The Nuggets are really tough on three-point shooters. Just in general, second fewest pull-up threes attempts per game, fourth fewest from catch and shoot. So that's something the Cell does a lot. And just the defense, the wing defense with the Nuggets is just very good. So that was kind of something I was hoping to be on. The number didn't really create any value there, I don't think. But I will say, just in general, I'd be very hesitant to play any Spurs overs in this spot against Denver.
Yeah, no, it's a fact. Yeah, this is a tough game for me, man. Obviously, you just worry about the Nuggets possibly not coming out and taking them serious. But other than that, if they've been playing the way that they've been playing lately, it's crazy because the line had reached down to 9. It opened up at 10.5. It went down to 9.5 last night. Then woke up this morning. It's back up to 10.5. Let me see that. I wouldn't say they don't really have a look ahead. I mean, they got the Mavs on deck on Sunday, but I don't necessarily think they're looking ahead. They got 3 big games on deck: Mavs, Wolves, and Knicks. If the Nuggets didn't cover this one, I think some fishy shit's going on, man. Now the Spurs have been playing well. They've covered 3 of the last 4. They've covered 6 of their last 8 games and 8 of their last 10 games as well. So even though they're 3-7 over that span, they have been covering the spread. This is their 3rd straight home game. I'm watching the last few minutes versus the Rockets over there, and they just didn't want to pass Wemby the ball, man. It was crazy. Wemby's looking at him like, come on, man. Do y'all want to fucking win? Pass me the ball. It's just like they have some of the most horrible turnovers, and I know that the Nuggets, like when they really turn up their defense, they could just stifle the Spurs, man. But really, the Spurs are just one of those teams. You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes they could play like a playoff team. Sometimes they could play like a 14-win team as well, man. One of the more intriguing type of teams to bet on or against this year, guys. So for whatever, and you can see it as well. They're 33-33 against the spread. Like sometimes they play like they're fucking going to the championship, and other times they play and they could also get up by 10-15 points, and then before you know it, they're down 20 points. I've seen every version of the Spurs. I've seen them get down 25 in the first quarter. I've seen them be up by 25 points as well, like in the first half, and still lose the game, man. So I don't really have a good feel for the Spurs. Definitely don't have a good feel for the Nuggets team as well, man. I bet on them. They shit the bed. I bet against them. And they obviously play like they're the reigning champs as well, man. So I'd lean towards Nuggets minus 10.5. Not really messing with the Spurs. It's Nuggets or nothing for me in this game. It's a tough ass slate, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. But let's go over to the streets of Utah in this one, Keech. I feel like the Jazz might not. When I saw Chris Dunn listed as rest, like, what the fuck you mean you resting somebody, man? I want no parts of the Jazz. I looked at their record, and they're not really in that tier where they just like don't want to win games. But what they've shown us lately is that they don't want to win games. I'd lean towards the Hawks here. Definitely if they get Jalen Johnson back in this game. This line was at 1.5 last night. It's up to 3. I agree with the way that it's moving. Hawks already smacked these guys And the Hawks already smacked these guys in Atlanta, 124-97. The Jazz are not showing that they want to win games. They've lost the last 3. They've lost the last 6 of 7, and they've lost 8 of 10. I'm not betting on the Jazz. I just can't do it. It's Hawks or nothing for me in this game, and they're coming off a bad game versus the Portland Trailblazers as well. And you can't keep losing because the Nets might fuck around and take that 10th spot for you over there in the East. So I'd lean towards the Hawks. If I had one top spot of the day, it would be the Hawks in this one, mainly because the Jazz are showing us that they don't want to win. Lauri Markkanen is still out, even though he practiced yesterday, Keech. He's still out. Now Jordan Clarkson is out. And then Chris Dunn doesn't have a single injury, which he's not a huge player to the team, but the fact that they're just resting him shows me that that they're not trying to win in this game. Keech, what do you think about this game? Any props that you like here?
Yeah, finally. This is like the one game I think I'm by far the most interested in actual props. This is still at a playable line. Good. It's still 17.5. So Bogdan Bogdanović over 17.5 points. He is questionable right now with an illness. I think Jay and I talked about this a little before we hopped on. I would imagine he plays. Jalen Johnson also questionable, which has an impact on this line.
For sure.
But I absolutely love the spot for Bogdanović. The Jazz could not profile as a better matchup for him. They allow the 5th most opponent 3-point attempts allowed per game. The thing I like the most about this matchup for him is that they not only do they allow the highest 3-point percentage, tied for the highest percentage on the season, but they give up a ton of catch and shoot threes. They also allow the highest 3-point percentage made on those shots. So it really just couldn't set up much better from a shot profile perspective for what Bogdanović does with Trae Young out. So absolutely, that is my official play from the show is Bogdanović over 17.5. I'll try to make sure we can get that in here before moves. But yeah, we're in there. So Bogdanović over 17.5. The other thing I'm kind of keeping an eye on the Jazz side, like you alluded to, with they're missing guys. Their bench is very thin. They may get Taylor Hendricks back. He's questionable right now. I would imagine he starts and plays. I don't think he's going to be on any sort of tight restriction. He hasn't missed that much time. I would imagine like 28 to 30 minutes. There's probably an upside for more than that, just given where they are at with their health. Him to record a double-double. I don't know exactly what I think I played around a little bit earlier. You get like, if you build it out manually around plus 500. I think that is a very good price. I could see him kind of getting pushed a little bit. Like you alluded to, they don't have Clarkson, so there's some scoring that they're missing. I do think that they'll probably push Sexton and Keontae George pretty heavily. So
they have to. They don't have a chance. They don't have a choice.
It's THT is the other guy. Like that's kind of as I was going through that last night. I mean, listen, I agree with you, but I think I could see them. They're not that interested in winning. I could see him like more or less in maybe less minutes, kind of like sort of trying to play that Clarkson role. He's not going to do it well. Johnny Juzang is another guy they have. Kira Lewis, former Pelican, is somebody they have. Jason Preston, former Clippers, like kind of G League guy, is I think active in this game. So we could see some weirdness in terms of like those guys playing if it gets out of hand. But yeah, Taylor Hendricks, assuming he's back, I don't mind the over 8.5 points. You can get it at like 110 or better. I think there's some sites that are juicing that a little bit more heavily, like the 130 range. And also like just him to record 10 plus rebounds on its own is another thing I'm kind of interested in. But Bogdanović over 17.5 points, given the shot profile, the fact they don't have Trae, is my favorite play of the day.
Man, if you see Kira Lewis in this fucking game, guys, the Jazz are not trying to win this game, my God. But yeah, it just was really interesting in me when I saw that Clarkson and Lauri Markkanen in practice yesterday, and then I was like, oh, okay, so Lauri Markkanen might come back in this one. No, he's still out. I think that just me personally, I think that there's nothing wrong with Lauri Markkanen. I think he could play. I think it's some like LaMelo Ball there. Like LaMelo Ball could play right now, guys. I'm telling you this. They're just literally choosing. And imagine being those players where you could just go and cash checks. The team doesn't even want you to play. There's nothing wrong with you. You can practice. You can do all that. And it's like, no, don't play. And you can still collect your check, man. It's actually pretty crazy, to be perfectly honest with you. But I could only look towards Hawks. obviously it's tough to lay points with them on the road, but I like the way this line is moving. I really think that the Jazz aren't really serious about winning games right now, man. In all honesty, I mean, if you look at the lineups that they're throwing out there, like I said, the fact that they're just resting Chris Dunn, it's like what they're doing is they're giving the opportunity to younger guys to see what they have in the other guys. But the teams don't usually do that unless they're not trying to win. That's why they're signing people on 10-day contracts and play those guys. I mean, like they could be playing Yurt 7. They could be playing players like that, and they're just choosing not to play them. You see what I'm saying? So look out for if they're starting to play Kenny Lofton Jr., Juzane, Kyra Lewis Jr. If they're playing some of their G League guys, that's telling you everything you need to know, guys. They're literally just looking ahead to next year, just seeing what they have in these young guys. But when the team get to playing their 10-day contracts, they're not trying to win games, guys. It's disgusting. It makes my skin crawl. I don't like it, but we got to notice the patterns with these teams. And even though, I mean, they're not trying to win. They're not serious about winning games. So we should probably bet against them. I'd heavily lean towards the Hawks here, -3, especially if Jalen Johnson plays in this game, which he was doubtful last game and didn't play. He's upgraded to questionable in this one. They need him, especially without having Sadiq Bey out there. If Johnson plays in this game, you got to look towards the Hawks. The Jazz are just like they're not trying to win, my guys. It's almost like they're trying to have like the worst record possible, even though they're already up to 28 wins. They're not trying to win this one. But I might ride with you with the Bogdanovich in this one, Keech.
Just moved up to 18.5. I think the power of
that's because you just bet it. Yeah. That's because you just bet it. Nah, hey, but that's a good look. That's a good sign, though. If you're betting something and we're talking about it on the show and it just moves up, but maybe it'll move down if Jalen Johnson gets ruled in, right? So yeah. Yeah, but I'm riding with Keech. I don't love this card today, guys. I'll be perfectly honest with you, man. This card absolutely stinks to me. Tomorrow's card looks a lot better, in my opinion, Keech. What do you like for today, my brother?
So, like we just alluded to, the Bogdanovich over 17.5 or 18.5. I think if you have missed the 17.5, maybe just wait and see what. I think over 18.5 is like -104 right now. That I think is still actionable. I think I'd play the 18.5 to like about 110. Taylor Hendricks, I'm kind of curious to see what happens with him. He's like the guy that if he starts and there's like no real thought that he's going to be limited, points and rebounds over is going to be an interesting one. We talked about the Valanciunas thing. I'm still kind of weighing that one a bit. So keep an eye on the Action app. I might throw something in on him. I think we're at kind of a low point in the market there. And I do I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on that Clippers Pelicans game, especially just, because of just watching Clippers injury report. But I love that angle that you had mentioned about playing the Pelicans live if they by some chance fall behind early. So those are the things I'm going to be keeping an eye on tonight.
I like it. Yeah, I can't talk you off the Bogdanovich. He is questionable with an illness, but he was questionable last game in Portland with the illness as well. Ended up playing. I think this is a Hawks type of spot, man, in my opinion, mainly because the Jazz are kind of tipping their hand that they're not necessarily serious about winning games. But I'd lean towards the Hawks, man. If I had one top spot today, I didn't bet it. I don't really feel comfortable laying points with them. Like it could be a better spot on the in the first half as well. But I just don't really love this card. I'm supposed to take the Pelicans here, back-to-back, third game in 4 nights, fourth and 6, fifth game in 7 nights for the Clippers here, but I feel like there was those games right before the Bulls games where I know the Clippers are still pissed off, and if they're a full squad here, I'm definitely staying off the Pelicans. This is a spot where if the Clippers are resting a few guys, that's when you should like take advantage of it. But full squad, they're probably going for the win, and I think it could be a better spot to live bet the Pelicans fourth quarter in this one. So Pelicans is probably supposed to be a top spot. I don't know why. I got a funny feeling about the game, and y'all know me. Usually when I bet something, it's like, all right, I love this spot. I will not regret it. Some tell me that the Pelicans game could be a little bit closer than we think, and you might even be able to get a better line in game. Their top spot would be in the fourth quarter. So you could just bet fourth quarter even before the game starts. Take fourth quarter Pelicans like on the spread or whatever, but that would be the max spot where they have the most energy mismatch, in my opinion, in there with my guys. But they say hardens out. So they just say hardens out. A lot of heads finna start rolling around this time, man. That's when the injury reports start to come out. But yeah, I don't love anything, man. Y'all go check out Keech. Make sure y'all follow him on the Action Network app, my guys. First off, you're absolutely smashing it with the fucking props over there. And then if he decides to bet anything else, it will be on the app over there. It's all free, my guys. It's all love as well on the show. It's all positive vibes. Let's shout out to Keech for coming on the show. Y'all go follow him on the Action Network app. What's your Action Network handle, my guy?
I don't even know. I think you could search my full name, I think, and it'll come
Stephen
up.
Keech.
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing I did want to note about Bogdanovich, in case it helps anybody, I am projecting him 0.92 points, just to give you kind of an idea of where, and that is what Jalen Johnson projected in. So just to give you an idea of where you may be able to kind of play that up to. I wouldn't play it at 20 and a half. I wouldn't play it at 19 and a half, really. But I think at this range it's in now, I think we still have some playable room here.
That's it. And shout out to Anthony as well. I do lean that Collins double as well, man. I don't know if I'm gonna get there. They got the line high as hell, but I do lean towards John Collins at least having somewhat of a decent game versus old team. But I also said that in the last game, and he was fucking horrible as well. But that is like a narrative type of bet that I can see John Collins going for a double in there, my guys. But it's all love, man. We hope y'all have a great day. Best of luck, whatever you guys are betting. It's all love. I'll be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. Let's get this cash, man. Hope everybody has a great Friday. A great day, great weekend, all that good stuff. We out, my guys. Let's go. Let's get this cash, baby. We out.